Yeah, I like it too. It's sometimes it's a choice between that one and Belle, but I like Amazing Grace better.
What was the other one?
Belle? You saw
yeah, there were clips for it.
Clips from it. Mm-hmm.
That one looked like an interesting one.
It's really good. It's really good. But it has different issues that it goes. This Amazing Grace is definitely all about abolition. So. Yeah. So what did you guys? What was the thing that you liked most about it? Yeah.
I liked how William Wilberforce, like, no matter like how booed he got or yelled at for what he was doing, he kept on coming back like stronger and stronger. Like no matter how sick he was, he always just found a way to always get back to where he started.
Yeah.
And I think it was like 5 years since he originally began.
That was more than that.
Yeah, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was, or I think 5 years since he like brought it up in Parliament or something.
It was more than that.
Yeah.
The 5 years I think was.
Since
Wasn't that when he was sick? Like
yeah,
the time period that he was sick?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was almost 20 years.
Yeah, they said 21 years.
Yeah, 'cause they considered
JB?
Yeah, I was like saying how I don't really understand like how his views were just so like they were good views, but they were just so different from like everyone he was working with. And I was like, wow, that's like how he kind of didn't really care what other people thought. Like he was like, all right, this is how he thinks it should be, and then he just, you know.
Yeah, I mean the main character was, I think, easily the most motivational, or like part of the whole thing. He's able to stick to it, like stick to his morals and ethics. While he, like he said, sickness, friends, enemies, everybody's really kind of necessarily against him in a lot of instances. He only really has a couple people that are really behind him, but he's still able to kind of go through with it and stick to it and not really even not even give ground on any of it. Where a lot of stuff, like it would be like, oh, we'll end slavery, but we'll give it like a 15-year hiatus where we phase it out. It was kind of the first complete victory I had seen in a while.
This isn't a historical thing, but the closest thing I noticed that they had Dumbledore.
Yes, the guy who plays Dumbledore. He was in it.
Isn't he dead now?
Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah,
He died
I was
last
like,
year.
All of Dumbledore's
Yeah.
I remember I was watching that. There's multiple.
Well, no, now the one in
The
Fantastic
real and the
Beasts.
fiction ones.
Yeah.
He was the one that they were surprised that came over.
Yeah, Lord Fox.
Okay.
I don't think that's what it was.
Yeah. Anything else? Yes.
I was a little confused by the dates because the flashback was 20 years before, right?
Yeah.
And they were talking about how Napoleon was rising, and I don't think. So, the movie's talking about the abolition of the slave trade, and I think I looked up that was in 1815 or 1814, around then.
The end of the slave trade by the British, so his thing finally goes through in 1807.
Okay. So 1787, or around there. Okay. I don't know. Maybe
The
I just
rise
heard
of
it.
Napoleon, so 1789 is the beginning of the French Revolution.
Yeah,
Napoleon does his stuff in the 1790s.
Yeah. Okay. Never mind.
And and the British and the French are at odds. That whole thing.
Yeah.
So like,
How their economy was based on the sugar plantations. What really happened to? Did they lose a ton of money once they abolished the slavery?
That was the argument of Tarleton.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, they talked about that in the video you posted, where they had to, they did pay back everyone that ever owned a slave ever, and they paid them back a lot more than they probably should have. I think they calculated what was it, $18 billion or something in today's currency.
in today's years.
Yeah,
I mean,
in total.
if they didn't do that though, there would be freaking riots. I think
By whom?
by all the slave owners and
That was
not
Tarleton's.
necessarily the
That was
slaves.
Tarleton's argument,
Yeah.
right? It's too expensive to do. I mean, how do you? It'd be like shutting down the car industry. You know, it's like
Yeah.
shutting down coal mines. So you're ending something that everybody just thought you would always do.
Yeah, that's a part of
This is part
society.
of, which is what Wilberforce is going up against, right? This is the way we've always done it. Why would you want to change it? You know, well, it might be bad a little bit, but what would our economy do without it? You know, you can't
No one
mess with
really-
a good thing.
It feels like they're like contradicting themselves. Since it was abolished for moral reasons, they're just like contradicting that by paying them anyway. Like,
But was it abolished for moral reasons?
no. Well, like, but that's what Wilberforce's motivation
Wilberforce was trying to,
Yeah.
yes, but how did he finally get it through?
financially.
Yeah, he was able to connect them all together, basically.
What was the abolition of the slave trade is actually?
He snuck it in the privateering law.
The American
Well, that was the
flag.
slave trade one, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
how it started though. That's how he got his foot in the door.
That's how he gets the ball rolling.
It was
Actually-
so funny because then they like
Didn't-
paid for everybody to go to the races. It was hilarious.
Didn't he die the year that the Abolition Act passed?
Yeah, he didn't live to see it pass in the
Okay.
U.S. So
Oh, in the U.S.
yeah,
Okay.
so he sees it happen in the slave trade in 1807, but he doesn't live to. Was it 1809? Oh, he does. He lives to 1833. He doesn't see the end of slavery, the actual abolition of slavery.
Yeah.
He sees the end of the slave trade, but not the end of the actual
Yeah.
Institution of slavery.
Right.
Which is what he was working towards all the
Yeah.
time. He dies a year before the final abolition bill.
In the readings from the textbook, it did address like escaped slaves and coming like to English territories, how they wouldn't be like, you're still a slave, you're free now. Like they were free. So like how did they, I guess like it just didn't make sense that they would say that you could be free if you escape, but like I don't know. I got confused.
You stole your freedom. Yeah, kind
You've
of.
stolen yourself now.
Yeah.
Your property, that you yourself are the property,
Right.
and if you
Of
run
yourself.
away, you are stealing that revenue and
Right. But
property.
in the textbook it said that the British were okay with that. That the British recognized
well,
their freedom if they escaped.
If you are in England, then you are on free soil, just like France is. The Commonwealth, the metropole is free soil. It's like hide, when you play hide and go seek and you have the free spot,
Home base,
right?
yeah.
Home base, it's home base. But you're still in the game of hide and seek.
So they dissociated themselves from slavery by making that distinction.
Yes. And who is the person behind that? He's not on our thing, but he was in the movie, and he was in the movie in the Bell movie too. I think in one of the snippets in the Bell movie, and you've read about it, and we've talked about it.
Wait,
Mm-hmm. He has one of those funny English old-fashioned names. He's a lawyer.
Who did what? I kind of missed what.
We're talking about who would have been dealing with this kind of how can you be free in the metropole and not in colonies?
No. It was the other guy that was he the Lord or the Sir who said that was like that was the main case towards the abolition movement.
He was
it that guy?
he worked with Lord Bell's uncle. But he was a lawyer,
Okay.
and I don't think he ever got a knighthood. You guys can't remember? Pen? There we go. I don't remember if there's any on the other day, but not.
Yeah, probably.
I think so. Okay.
He was in the movie.
Great.
Oh, did you say he wasn't?
He's not on the
Oh,
list.
oh.
He was in the movie. Yeah. So Granville Sharp was a lawyer, and so you read about him in relation to the ship, the Zong. He was the lead lawyer against the Zong. And then he also has a case with a black man who was brought to London by his owner. He runs away, claims his freedom, and the owner wants him back to take him back to the colonies. He's like, no, and Granville has a whole case on that. And that's what you guys are actually talking about, is this, what's free soil and what's not. And that was under Bill Sharp's.
What was the ruling on that one?
I'm totally blanking on the case. It's a huge
Talking about
case.
Jonathan Strong?
Yes, the Strong case. Thank
Yeah,
you.
let me
Yeah.
read a little bit about it.
All right, it's not Wikipedia, is it?
No.
Yeah. Because that actual the Wikipedia entry on that is actually wrong. So. And it's the Sharp case is in your in your reading.
All this says is that he was free, but he only lived for 5 years as a free man.
Well, yeah, after the case goes through.
Yeah.
It was a long case. It was going at the same time as the Zong case. The concurrent cases.
So they like draw these cases out because of like what it would mean in other cases, like because obviously this guy's probably spent more money like defending one slave, or
Well, I mean, they don't draw them out, but this is a case it's like Plessy versus Ferguson, where you're talking about is this
and like they
do you
know
have
the
full
like the
rights?
implications that it will have, so
Yes,
that's why
they
they
do.
get
That's-
so.
It's not dragged out. The English
No,
system is.
But it's like it seems like they all are.
But the reason why it takes so long to make to bring a decision down is because yes, it has complete societal repercussions. So I mean, if you decide that a person is not obligated to go back with their owner, then that's that's a big deal. Then what do people in the colonies? Then are they going to bring their slaves if they know that they could lose them? There's that whole issue. Thomas Jefferson actually went through this when he was serving in France. The slaves he took from Monticello to France, once they were in France, they were actually free, and they were not obligated to go back to Monticello.
Did they?
Because of what Thomas does and how he kind of frames it. It's like and the crazy thing is that his two main people that he takes with him are actually his kids. Right?
I was about to say, yeah, he was known for.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
He was known for having relations with slaves.
Okay.
That's what I thought.
So one of them is his son, his nephew, and the other is actually his niece, who he's having an affair with. So,
That's brutal. I wouldn't leave that.
Wait, so he still considers them slaves, though?
They are
Isn't
slaves.
he-
It's, for him they're his slaves, right? And
But
he
they're
takes
still
them,
his
one as a
family.
personal maid and one
Yeah,
as
well, no,
his
they
foot
are his
service.
family, but that doesn't matter because it's all about property of the womb.
They
So like, they came out of the
were
womb, they come
were
out of the
the-
slave.
They were
Yeah.
their father
And how can
was
you-
his, I can't remember if it was his brother or his wife's brother. I think it was his wife's brother. So they weren't like directly related to.
Okay.
But yeah. So
That's weird.
I thought they were related.
no, they were his wife's brother's property, which he inherits through his wife. And so they lived in Monticello. So it's the Hemmings, Sally Hemmings, and her brother, I think, is Joseph Hemmings. And Joseph was I think it's Joseph, but male Hemmings was his foot servant, his butler, right? And while he's in France, he goes to culinary school and he learns a trade, and he actually stays in France after Jefferson leaves, but he returns to Monticello and becomes the head butler, still enslaved butler of Monticello. And Sally goes with him in Virginia.
But wasn't Sally a big? I feel like we learned about
You-
it last year.
You've learned in Willette, you learned about Egypt Willette, right? Susan Willette.
No, we took retired Doug.
Oh, Slave definitely talked about.
Yeah, we took
Yeah.
presidents with him.
Yep,
Last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He was so cool.
I love them.
Yeah, I did too. Okay, so let's go through our quiz here. your name at the top. And switch pins or whatever with somebody next to you so it's not the same.
Wait, we're not switching. Yeah, okay.
You're keeping your own thing, but you're grading it with something that looks different than what you actually marked on your paper with. Does that make sense?
I never wrote.
It's really not high mathematics here, you guys.
Use a pencil.
If you use a pencil, use a pen. If you use blue ink, use black or a pencil. Or got it?
Does anybody need a pencil? Good.
Everybody have a different color than what they had before?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Alrighty. So, number 1. Well, let's do it from the right hand side. The wife of William Wilberforce is probably not William Wilberforce.
Probably a woman too, so you gotta
50-50.
back then.
Yeah. So, who was it?
Barbara Spooner.
It was Barbara Spooner. What do you think of Barbara?
I liked it. She was good.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool how like they were in the fireplace one night, and she's like, "I grew up reading about you in the newspaper." What's their age difference?
1759,
Oh,
20 years.
No,
Oh, okay.
12 years.
Okay. Yeah.
59, 16. Oh, yeah. 12
There's-
years.
there's
12
bigger
years.
gaps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
I just thought
have
it
a
was
bigger gap
interesting.
than hers.
Yeah,
She wasn't-
I just thought it was interesting because she's like, I was such a big fan.
Well, yeah, but they were both young. Remember, he's
Yeah,
young.
yeah.
I mean, he's in his early 30s, so.
Yeah.
They seemed to. She did have that kind of like. Not like a. I don't want to say like fully, but she definitely kind of had a little bit of a groupie like attitude.
She was
where
totally a groupie.
or she was definitely
She was
like.
totally a groupie.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
And did they actually get married in like a
I
day?
used to tell all of her friends.
It was less than a month. I think,
Okay.
that they were neat,
Found out all the
engaged.
sugar had
Yeah.
slave blood
I
in it.
love. That's like my favorite. I
Yeah.
use that line. I love it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, couldn't eat it for the blood and the slaves and the sugar. But it's. I mean, that was. She was. What was the purpose of her role
I think just like keeping
Support,
motivated.
Yeah.
moral.
in the movie? What's so? Yes, that's part of it.
Remind
But
him of what he was fighting for.
what? Yes. So when you the thing about
the
historical
public
fiction,
abolitions, like-
yes, the thing about historical fiction, right, is each character serves a purpose.
Yeah, there's a reason why
Right?
they're there.
There's a reason why they're there. What was her purpose?
The public abolitionist side.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's
Yeah.
telling you what was going on behind the scene, what Wilberforce was working with, right? She's a groupie, right? So groupies, have their little cliquey things, right? They have all these things that she's telling you. There's public forums going on, talking about this. You start kids young, right? And it's like, I'm not eating it. It has the blood of slaves in it, but that was really happening. This is how you get people in. There were public rallies and boycotts, right? So she alludes you to all of those things. It's like, I wouldn't eat the sugar. We would only eat, how did she? It was either plain tea or what?
like,
How did
if
they
it-
sweeten things?
If it wasn't, well, she said, or sugar not made in the colonies. They mentioned that.
Did they sell sugar? That
Beet
was-
sugar.
Oh yeah, that's when that
Beet
becomes a
sugar.
thing.
I missed that.
Beet
part.
sugar and honey. So it had to be domestic honey, right? Or beet sugar.
Yeah.
And so it's like like a vegan, right? He's like, I will not eat any animal that's encaged and all that kind of stuff. So
Vegans won't eat
Store
any
shit.
animal, period.
right, oh my gosh, it's red dye. Red dye is made from cochineal beetles. I'm not gonna, I can't eat the red M&M. It's like-
Oh boy.
But that was what this was like, and so that's Barbara's role in this movie, is to show you the public face of the private life we're seeing.
So was sugar still coming from the Americas? Like I saw in the movie, there'd be on stores like sugar made from non-slavery or whatever it was.
Yeah,
So
it's
what-
like we see in the stores now, organic, non-GMO,
Yeah.
all those kinds of things. Yeah.
So-
Stores were starting to capitalize on that, and it became a
So who
marketing
exactly
Trends.
what's producing the sugar? Were they just having to hire the slaves, almost like pay, or were they just not consider them slaves anymore? Just like, no.
I feel like they have a
Yeah,
whole
I didn't
different
think so. I
plantation.
was just like,
Wasn't it produced in India?
Well, this is part of what Wilberforce is saying. He's like, it served its purpose, right? Slavery might have, I mean, if it was ever moral, which it probably wasn't, it at least served an economic purpose at some point. But now it doesn't. We've got beet sugar, we've got cheaper sugar coming from India. The empire has expanded, right? So it used to be a smaller empire. Now the empire is where the sun never sets. And so you can get cheaper sugar from India. He has problems with that too, though, because it's still plantation slavery over there. So it's like sugar in itself is problematic. But you can also use beet sugar that's raised in Ireland or in Scotland and in France. Well, sugar, but there are other ways of sweetening your stuff. They are actually subsidizing the Caribbean planters. So it's like corn right now, right? It's like
where everybody's growing corn.
Right, everybody's growing corn. It's actually not a sustainable crop. If you took away the subsidies, the farmers couldn't afford it. That was what sugar was like. It was subsidized because beet sugar and East Indian sugar was cheaper. In order to keep the West Indian sugar plantations alive, the British government subsidized them. And so what people were saying is like, that doesn't seem right. Why are my tax dollars paying the guy who owns that big mansion down there? He doesn't need our help. If he wants to continue this process, he can pay for it himself. Why am I paying for it? And that Wilberforce is trying to
stir that up.
What was Tarleton's argument against that? How did Tarleton come back at that?
He talked to just kind of very angry.
Anger.
Yeah. No, so what was his purpose? Well, Tarleton has a purpose too.
Isn't it the economic that we talk about, that it is economically feasible and it's too much of a pillar of our economic
They relied on sugar.
Which answer is his?
Where is he?
The fifth one. This MP for Liverpool person served in the Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Because didn't he show that like he lost 3 fingers or something?
It's Tarleton.
It's Tarleton.
Okay.
So yeah, that F and Tarleton is the MP for Liverpool. Where's Liverpool?
Is it like
It's in England.
central?
No, it's on the coast. That's the coastal one where they built all the ships.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in your when you were looking in the database, one of the places where the ships were built and where that first port of exit where they left Europe was Liverpool. Liverpool was a center for the slave trade. What did Tarleton told you what happens in Liverpool? What goes on in Liverpool? Who was he protecting? He's the MP. MP is like a representative, a House of Representative guy.
Isn't he protecting like the builders of the ships?
Builders of the ship is one. So
There's a lot of industry.
There's a lot. What his role was to show you, he shows you how connected the economy in England is to the slave trade. So if you extract that, it might be a tumor, but if you extract it, what vital organs is it attached to? And he was shown, that was what his role was, to show you how vital this, it might be morally important, but it's vital to the economy. What were the things he was saying? If you took this out, if you snatched this out, what would collapse? Ship industry we got. What else?
I mean,
Just
goes
like
without saying,
general
sugar.
like trade and stuff. Like, cause that's pretty much all they're.
That they are the main traders. I forget where it was read, but Britain was like was trading more slaves than the rest of the nations all put together. So they were that was.
So if that, they have to be transported somehow. So Liverpool is one of the places where they build ships. Birmingham and Newcastle are the other ones, and Scotland, Glasgow. So the ship industry, right? If you don't need the labor, you don't need the ships to bring the labor there.
You also don't need the product. You don't need
You also don't need the, well, you still, he's saying that
the sugar, but now you
The
have to
sugar
pay the
would be-
labor.
but now you have to pay the labor. Also, those ships bring the product back. So remember, you can't process things in the colonies. So this is going to affect the factories in England. Okay. What else does it affect?
Middle and lower class.
Why?
Because you're overturning a system where there's a middle class defined by suppressing the lower class, and the lower class suppresses the slave classes. So if you get rid of the slave classes, then the lower class will get
Down.
angry, and like they have to do the stuff that the slave class had to do, and then the middle class will get angry because they have to do what the lower class used to do. So like it's a complete shift of everything.
Yeah.
Wouldn't like ending slavery open more jobs though?
Yes, but
Yes.
not good
Yeah, but
jobs.
they're
But
not.
people
They're
don't wanna-
lower paid jobs. They're things
Yeah, but
that
not-
people
Yeah, but
saw
I
as
feel
like
like-
yucky and ugly.
Don't like some people not have any work though? Or is it not that bad?
No, there was unemployment.
Yeah.
But they
But
still,
They still
do
nobody
those
wanted. There's a
jobs.
reason why we had they had the slaves in the first place, because they were like, "Wow, cutting this sugar is really hard. I don't want to do this."
But
or
we're
I don't-"
talking about people who are not going to be cutting sugar.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't
this
think
is,
Charles
they're
is.
not going. You're not going to be transporting people from Liverpool and Glasgow to Jamaica and St. Lucia. So. What Charleston is, his view is showing you what's going on in England. If we take this out, then it's a cascade effect. Okay, so it's not going to really hurt the nobles. He's not really worried about them. What he's worried about are his constituents, right? So if you don't have the shipbuilding industry, then you don't have the pub, right? And if you don't have the pub, then you don't have people who bring you to the pub. You don't have the beer, that goes in the beer. So it's a cascade effect. It's not just the sugar industry that would be affected if you end slavery. You've got all of the other things that go around it. Think about the Rust Belt in the U.S., right? You take away the steel industry, the auto industry, all those things. It's not just the people who worked in the car factory that are affected. It's the tavern where they went after work. It's the infrastructure around that, the schools, all the public health facilities. Yes, grocery stores, the malls. Right? You don't have any money to spend, so you don't go shopping. So then you don't hire anybody in the stores where you would go shopping. It's this whole cascade effect, and that was what Charleston was more afraid of than anything. He's like, I can't go back to my constituents and tell them that I just got rid of an entire industry, the most lucrative industry in my district. No, it's like the West Virginia coal guys going, it's like no. Clean coal, we'll make clean coal. I don't know if there is clean coal, but we'll make clean coal, because I need my guys to work. So kind of make comparisons to what's going on nowadays because it's hard for us to think, why wouldn't you get rid of slavery?
Well,
it's like
it's
the
kind of similar to
physical
accepting products from like countries where they use child labor and unpaid labor.
Yeah, the sweat labor,
Yeah.
yeah.
or even just in Vermont, illegal immigrants that work on farms and stuff.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to work on a farm, but
Right.
like everybody gets up in arms about an immigrant that's undocumented working on a
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think it's just in Vermont too.
Well, no, but yeah, we're in Vermont, so it affects us here in the dairy industry, and mucking out the barns and all that kind of stuff. That's hard, nasty work. So, okay, we kind of lost our track here. So who is the third son of Charles III?
Clarence?
Yeah, yeah,
Is that the little dude?
Yeah.
that kept on-
the little dude.
red face,
Who would
yeah.
just
Oh,
add
that
those
guy?
comments?
Yeah.
Who had the
He was like
ugly
he was
looking-
like a little
He
pug
was-
dog. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is, that's-
Yeah.
that's what it looked like.
The movie really emphasizes like
Here's
what
nose.
wigs
I don't know, but he was one
And
of
like at first like I was kind of like yeah sure.
He was a computer.
But like a lot of guys like William for instance like had such a
No, he wasn't
like,
somewhere. That was
like,
when we were just older.
big,
He was a computer.
like
It's
change that whole
status,
perspective. Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is it like the bigger the wig, the more stat? Is it, or is it
No,
just
it's
like the
just
whole
the wig
Oh
itself.
yeah, and I noticed that when it was the 20-year flashback, they only had one roll. When they came back, they had 2 rolls.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny.
Well, that's his stature.
Right, right, yeah.
You gotta work your way
Yeah,
up.
the wigs improve.
Mm-hmm. And he also has more money, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what was, we're talking about what each person's role is. What was his role to show us? What was he showing us?
Teach. Like how it's like kind of.
Yeah, who does he represent?
The colonists.
Well, in a way, because he represents what?
Upper class.
Even more than that.
Like the
The
Lord.
aristocracy.
Even more than that.
Royalty?
Yes,
That's
he
okay.
represents
Yeah.
the crown. He is the crown in this, okay? So he is showing you, and as the crown, he is Great Britain, right? So his role is to show you how Great Britain, greater empire is affected. Had he ever been to the Caribbean? Are you sure?
Yeah, it says right there, towards the North American Caribbean colonies.
Yes, he went to Barbados. He served in the Royal Navy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fine.
So he had seen slavery up close and personal. Very personal. Very, very personal. Yeah. One of his favorite things to do on his tours was to stop in Barbados and Bridgetown and hang out in the brothels. And he was like a real babe. Because he's the prince, so he gets whatever he wants, and he was just obnoxious about it. But the point is that his role in the movie is to show you empire. Right? So he's been to places in his empire. He's dealt with, he's seen it. But what is his response when confronted with Wilberforce and his ideas?
He sides with Tarleton.
He sides with Tarleton. Why?
Because it's in the best interest of the
Yeah, he made
empire.
a pre-committed.
It's a slavery
That's all
empire.
our money.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tarleton was like very convincing, honestly.
Tarleton, they were convincing for different reasons, right? I mean, they're both about the empire. Tarleton is more personal based, right? So his role is to show you again what it means for the people of the empire in the metropole, whereas Duke of Clarence's thing is to show you the governmental, the bigger view of it. So what that really means for the empire, for the king. If you are king, how does this affect you, and whose interests are you really holding? It's really you as England, right? Not you as dude who hangs out in England. You are England. So that's what he represented in all this. Okay. Who was the integral member of the religious Clapham sect? Hannah. What do you guys think, Hannah?
She was businessy.
I got confused between her and Barbara, to be honest.
She was
Really?
wasn't she the one that was
There are only 2 women. How can you get?
I get confused with
Yeah, names are
names,
really hard.
spaces. I get confused.
Okay.
easily.
So what was Hannah's role? What
set them up?
Set them up.
Didn't she give me like an ultimatum at the end or something what did she? I don't know.
Well,
I
she
feel like
does,
we
but
did
it's
that, yeah.
because of what she represents. What does she represent? If she wasn't in there, what would you not know?
The radical side of it?
The religious
Okay, yes. The religious side, not necessarily radical, but
It was more rather.
It was right. She plays a role much like Barbara Spooner, right? Of telling you what's going on behind the scenes, who Wilberforce is working with, what he has to work with, and the networks that he can work through to get this done. What was the Clapham sect?
Religious members were devoted to getting rid of slavery.
She wasn't the one.
She wasn't what?
She wasn't the one that set them up.
No. She didn't set anybody up, but what she's
That
kind
was-
of the moral. She's the moral compass.
Were they the Quakers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
When they invited everyone to the house.
Yeah.
She was
Yeah.
at the dinner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Quakers are always moral compasses.
They are moral compasses with their inner light. Yes.
I just didn't remember Clapham. I just
Yeah.
remembered the Quakers.
Yes, they were. She was one of the Quakers, and her role is she's the religious moral compass in this. So she helps kind of steer, to true north with everything. When they kind of drift away from the real purpose of this, and Wilberforce gets confused as to, he's got all these different causes. She's like, this is simple. If we don't have, if we can't have our country based in some moral consciousness, then it's not worth it. She was actually probably one of the most intelligent of all these folks here, but being a female in the late 1700s, she has to hide a lot of that.
Behind the scenes role.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it was difficult, but she wrote poems. She wrote a lot of the male leaders' tracts that they would read and write and talk about and that kind of thing. She was kind of the brains behind it, I guess. Okay. So who was elected to the House of Commons in 1768 when he was only 19?
Is that
That's Fox.
Fox, okay. So, what was up with Fox? Mm-hmm. What would we miss in the movie if he was not in it?
I got confused between him and Dumbledore. So.
Yeah. See, where's the priest that he goes to see all the time?
That's not this
I
one.
haven't gotten.
Okay.
Wait, which one was Dumbledore? Was he the priest or
This
was
is Fox.
Okay,
It's
okay,
Fox.
okay. So got confused between him and the priest.
Yeah, they look kind of alike, but their purposes are different. So, what was Fox's purpose? He's a good friend. He's not the best friend, but he's a good friend.
Guy came around, like
Political, good, Caleb, and comes around from what to what?
just like the old to the new kind of human. Like,
He's a bridge between,
Revelation.
between the before and the after, right? So what was before, what could be in the future. He's older, right? So he's grown up in this, and there's a little bit of trouble trying to get him to understand why this is so, how you could do it. It's not that he didn't think it was necessary. It's just like, how would you do this, and why would I go against the grain? It's like, I don't want to be vegan. It's like, it's too hard. Why go through all this stuff? So that was his role, is to show you how you can turn a big heavy ship, right? So it's not a quick process. This is a big, it's a big, I don't know what those things are, but aircraft carrier, right? You can't turn an aircraft carrier on a dime. It takes a long time for it to turn, and that's what Fox represents, is that how that happens. Right? The movie can't give you the full scope of the timeline and the intricacies of all the things. That's Fox's role, right? It's like this took a while.
Didn't he switch pretty early on in the movie then?
Yes, but it's early on, but it's not really. It's actually not until the mid 1790s that he changed it. So it's a little. In real life, it was about 4 or 5 years before the 1807 Act. So. Okay, so that's Fox. Where are we? The former slave.
Oh yeah.
No,
Because we already did the EMP. Former slave. Autobiography. Yeah. Can you say his name? Anybody know? Equiano.
Equiano.
Wait, what was the first?
Olada.
Olada.
Olada Equiano. Yes. So, has anybody read Equiano's autobiography? Okay. It's sometimes in high school you guys read that, but it's his autobiography is one of the first of the slave narratives. It's like Frederick Douglass wrote slave narratives, but Equiano's was first. And what would have been missing if Equiano wasn't in the movie?
The first-hand
The
account.
person of color, first of all, yeah.
Well, yeah,
That
the
would be
slave
good.
side of the story.
Yeah,
Um,
the first-hand account of.
Yes. Yeah. This happened to me, he's saying. And it's his autobiography that the whole campaign uses to say this is the brutality of it, and it really happened this way, and this is how it affects a human being, right? Not a piece of property, a human being.
How did he die? I didn't catch that part. Like,
Old age.
oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, he's
Slash sadness.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
a long life for
Yeah.
someone who's gone through slavery.
in slavery and living in London. London is very dangerous to your health. So,
Still?
I'm not a fan of London.
Anyway, so the thing with him is the idea of the slave narrative, right? Of the product of the property speaking as a human, right? He humanizes the trade. It's his idea to have all the MPs go to the slave ship, right? He takes Wilberforce to the docks and says, you can smell this a mile away, more than a mile away, many miles away, but you have to smell it, you have to understand it, you have to walk on the ship, you have to get others to walk on the ship to humanize it, right? He shows Wilberforce the size of the thing, and then Wilberforce is hanging out in the box, right? That was some of my favorite scenes. Where is he? Where is he? Pops out of the coffin.
The guy leaves because they already think he's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, he's very, very important. The idea of the slave narrative also is brought up in this because the slave narratives, whether it's Equiano's or Frederick Douglass's or whoever's it is, they are, one, a story of somebody's life, but they are also a mechanism to include people in this, to humanize this, right? So they're propaganda. Slave narratives are propaganda for the abolitionist movement.
Still not people.
In some ways, yes, but in other ways, it's that propaganda that humanizes. So reading the slave narratives is a way to understand slavery, but it also is a way to understand the fight against slavery. Okay? What is it that they feel they need to talk about? What is it? There's like a rubric for how to write them. You talk about how you're captured. You talk about if you're captured or if you're born into it. What kind of family you're born into, and then your escape. You talk about how you plan your escape and how it's activated and how you move and all the ties that you have and how hard it is to get out of slavery. And then you talk about after you're out of slavery what your life is like and how difficult that is because you live in a world where slavery is the norm and where because of the color of your skin you should be enslaved, which now you're not, and so you're constantly at battles with that. So slave narratives have this arc that helps with the abolitionist movement, and part of that model was started by Equiano. He shows the way of how to write these and how the abolitionist movement can use them. Okay? So that's his purpose in there. All right, on to one of the 12 men who formed the Committee for the Abolition of the Slave Trade. Yeah, good old Clarkson.
See the one with like the longer hair?
Yeah, he was kind of he was a little weirdo hippie
Yeah.
guy.
Oh, he's the one where he walked in on the sneaky bill and the guy freaked out. I was like,
Why
why
is
are
he
you
there?
there?
Oh,
Why
yeah.
are you there? Wait,
Yeah.
don't. But
Yeah.
then there he
we're-
Yeah, so that's D. Letter D. Letter D. Okay, so what would we have missed if Clarkson wasn't in it?
A fact checker, someone to make sure, deal with the propaganda, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what did we see him do? I mean, besides like sneaking into Parliament and you know, annoying and freaking people out, what else does he do? He introduces Equiano to Wilberforce, or Wilberforce to Equiano, actually.
Yeah, I feel like he like kind of keeps Wilberforce like on track.
Mhm.
Like it doesn't get carried away and it keeps it realistic.
Mhm. Both he and Hannah More do have kind of a similar role. Clarkson's role goes even a bit further. Hannah More stays within Great Britain, right? So she's touring around Great Britain and kind of pulls that idea of how to keep the religious compass going in Great Britain. Clarkson goes even beyond the religious and does what?
International.
He internationalizes it for us.
He doesn't just visit British colonies, he visits other colonies.
What, not colonies, he goes someplace specifically that will cause problems for Wilberforce. Let's try to get this answer. France.
Paris.
Just to France. What's in France? Why does he go to France?
Revolution?
Yeah.
But that's not really why he goes there. There's something else going on in France. The revolution spins off something else. It's the Haitian
Oh, right,
Revolution.
yeah.
And in Paris, there is the committee for the
Public safety.
no, public safety is in the UK.
Public
It's
safety.
I'm trying to think of the French term for it. It's the Society of Friends, which is what the Quakers, but in French it's the Société des Amis de la Anyway, the Society of the Friends of the Negroes. So it's an abolitionist movement that's trying to abolish slavery in the French colonies, and it succeeds in Saint-Domingue and then later in Martinique and Guadeloupe. They succeed in abolition there, and then Napoleon comes in and he reinstates it because he loses money. But yes, so that's who he goes to visit, is all these, a group of white and black. So we have black former slaves and free people of color from the French colonies who live in France now, and we also have white supporters as well, the Allies, right? Who are working. They all work together. Clarkson goes to see how are you guys doing it? You know, you're doing this stuff over here. Let's kind of hold hands across the oceans. But it's at this very precarious political time, right? When you're not supposed to be holding hands across the oceans. We're at war with them. We're fighting them. So it causes problems for Wilberforce that they're connected. That was when he's like, they're gonna fight against you, and he's all sick and everything because with worry and all those kinds of things, and thinks people are against him, and has that paranoid thing going on. Is because of what Clarkson's doing, and just the ties, the linkages that people are making between him and Clarkson. Well, that's part of it. Okay. Any other questions about Clarkson? Okay. Now we've got the former slave trade merchant who repented. That's Thomas Newton.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so that is C. Notice he is a member also of the Clapham sect. So he and Hannah kind of work together with stuff. They know each other. They are going on working in the same things. His character is kind of overdone. he wasn't quite as reclusive as the movie makes him out to be. But what would we have missed if he wasn't in it? Mm-hmm.
Kind of a regret of what slave trade does to young people's lives,
Mm-hmm.
and also like the name. case. That's kind of.
Well, yeah, I mean,
That's kinda how
he
they
writes
put
the
it
song. Right.
Wait, so Clarkson was one of the
Clarkson-
12 men.
Yes. So D goes with one of the 12 men,
Yep.
and former slave trade merchants is C.
So what was his perspective? The changed man?
Like a affiliating with Tip. Okay.
Robbie said, what do you think? You said something about
You? I guess.
That he was the regret.
right regret, repentance. How you could reverse, it's so. Remember, Charlton is saying it's gonna destroy, my constituency. They won't be able to live without, all this kind of stuff. Newton's saying, yeah, you can.
Yeah, I've done some messed up stuff.
Yeah, you'll survive. You really will. And if you are having problems, that's good. You should be feeling sucky about this. Really, I mean, it was not a cool thing that we were doing. So that, his role, besides giving you the title of the movie, is why he writes that, right? And we looked at his ship, right? In our thing, we saw what was going on the ship that he was captain of.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
Okay. Almost done here. The age of 24 became the youngest prime minister in British history.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
It may happen.
Oh my goodness. And actually, I think they just I don't think he was the youngest anymore.
He is.
No, but-
24?
Yeah, I was about to say that.
That's really young. Like, do you have a president? No.
No,
Mm.
we are
No,
nowhere.
yeah,
We.
no. I don't even think you can run for president. until
Yeah.
So you're
34?
35, I think.
35.
There was somebody up
Just
for
nobody's
prime minister about 10 years ago that was really young.
What's his name? I can't remember.
But anyway, so yes, so
Okay.
that
Who's it,
is
Canadian?
No, I can't. No, it's one of our presidents.
Obama?
no.
I'm pretty sure the youngest
The
one
youngest
was.
is JFK. He's like
In the
40.
House of
Yeah,
Representatives,
yeah.
we've
He's like
had
45.
people in their 20s in the House of Reps.
There's a
Here.
mayor somewhere that just got like.
Oh, when he was
18
3.
or something.
We had
Wow.
there's a 3-year-old mayor in
What?
Montana.
That was dumb.
This is
That is so
Makes no
dumb.
sense to me.
Why did they elect him?
What was the reason for doing
I
it?
don't know.
Interesting.
Oh no, he still holds it.
The 3-year-old?
No. William did. He's still
Oh,
the
he does?
youngest.
Okay,
ever.
good. Okay. All right. So what would have been missing if he wasn't in the movie?
Friendship.
He helped him actually cloak and dagger the.
Mm-hmm. So what if he was? I mean, you could have had this movie without William Pitt in it.
Yep.
Why is he in the movie?
To show the political, sway or the political advantages that could be had from.
He shows both sides, right?
Yeah,
I mean, one of the
couldn't
things
just
he's the foil for Wilberforce, right? Wilberforce is like, I'm just gonna go in and do this, and Pitt's like, no. Do you know all these things? You have to talk to this person and this person. You got to go this way. You got to go through this. I've got a king I've got to answer to, along with constituency. So he's showing the political complexities of this, right? So Tarleton and Duke of Clarence show you the personnel side of it, the people side of it, whereas Pitt is showing you this government, how to hold your government together. So those are kind of the 3 governmental links that we have. We've got Pitt, we've got Charlton, we've got Duke of Clarence, who are all showing you what empire means, right, and how empire is affected by this. Okay. And then last but not least, this person led the 20-year fight to end the British slave trade. And, I can't write enough about him. Continued the fight for abolition to the institution of slavery. Also advocated for children's labor laws. Also campaigned for the education of the blind and deaf. And he also founded the Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, which was the precursor to the ASPCA. Mhm. And so that was who?
I'd change the channel.
Yeah, if you didn't put A down for that one, then I wonder if you had even watched the movie. Yes.
I just want to point out the fact that he fought for the animals, rights, because like you saw that in the movies, there's a lot of animals in his house.
Yeah, he's got the hedgehog, and yeah, he's got all kinds of things. Yeah. And how does the movie open up?
Oh,
The
with him
very
singing
first scene in the movie.
The horse.
Right, the guy is flogging a horse. He's
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
yeah.
you
He says,
should
why
do
don't you just
that.
leave it alone?
Yeah. What was that scene? Why is that the opening scene?
Compassion.
Yeah, compassion.
Sticks
He
up
shows
for
he
someone,
cares
kicking
about
someone.
what they do.
And shows that he cares about like that kind of stuff at
Like
the
the
cost of his
teaching or
own
something.
health.
About cost of his own health. What does the so that's for him. What does the scene show us?
Like how big he actually is. No, I mean because like the guy in Wilberforce, we're about to get into it. and the
Yeah,
guy's
but that
like-
he was at that point he wasn't.
Contemporary.
Yeah, he's just a rich dude coming by and bugging him.
Yeah.
You
It was
just-
a rainy day too.
And it shows England. So.
The cruelty of the time.
There.
What was it?
What, Caleb?
The cruelty of the act.
Yeah, but it was. Nobody else was stopping, right? So yes, it's cruel, but it's normal. That's what that scene's showing you, right? Is the horse is property that has a job to do. He was not doing that job. Gosh darn it, get up. If you're not going to get up, you're going to the glue factory. You know, I mean, this was, and that was just, why wouldn't you do it any other way? He's useless. If I need him to get up and do his job, it's raining, I need to get my stuff to where it's supposed to be. That horse represented slaves, and the driver represented the empire. And so, I mean, it's a huge scene. It sets up the entire movie, right?
At first. Now.
That's
no,
why I'm
now
reminding
it's coming
you.
back.
Now I'm reminding you, yes. Okay?
You have the two.
Yeah. Okay. So there was a lot in that. And I'm glad you guys got it. So pass those back to me. Okay. All right. So where are we in time here? Oops. Cool. Okay, so there's also a lot of other readings that you did. There's a lot of stuff. We're getting into resistance. So this is one form of resistance, right? The abolitionist movement. But that makes it sound like it's white people and a couple of ex-slaves that are kind of like, oh, this is bad, and that's all we're going to do. The people who are actually involved in this process, what you guys were reading is showing that this is never something people were just like, oh, okay, I guess I'm a slave now, right? There was constant pushback against this process. And so what you're reading now is what that pushback is and how it affects society. I'm going to pass around some things, and after it was printing out, I was like, oh, I just printed out the rough draft. So you guys see all my little doodles and markings, as I was, instead of the one that was the corrected version.
I don't know if this was like a common problem, but I tried to go on to week 13 because I got confused and you can't access any of the links. I don't know if that's like a thing that you have to open.
Yeah, it was.
It says page number.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't want to pull
Yeah,
your
no,
computer.
just leave it. My apologies.
Okay, let's see. Next week.
I think this week is okay.
Yeah, this one's got week 12 to work.
Yeah, no, this week is fine.
Which week are we right now?
We're on 12 right now.
We're on week 12 right now. So.
And 13's the next one. Those ones don't open. That one does open. The other ones don't.
Oh yeah, that's the
That's a
that's
database.
the time.
These aren't opening?
Yeah, those ones
Yeah,
aren't
the rest of
working.
them.
I
just says.
Ah, okay. I'm gonna have to link those back for you. Okay, I'll work on that in the next day or so. Get those linked. Thank you for letting me know. Because what it's because for me it's purple, so it looks like they go through.
Yeah, I mean,
So.
it said the same thing for us. It said,
You just didn't work.
Okay, I'll go through and check those links and get those up for you. But that's for Monday, so I'll do that in the next couple days for you. Okay, so going back though to this week's, you were able to get into those, right? Yeah, I'll get those up by tomorrow night. Okay, so this is where we are now. Bunch of stuff, right? There's a whole lot for you to read. So on this, does everybody have a timeline? The chronology? Okay. So this shows you the process throughout the region and when things happen. So some places they abolish slavery one time and then it just doesn't stick and you gotta try again, like the French colonies, Martinique and all of them. They all are abolished. Haiti and Martinique and all those guys in 1794. Society of the Friends of the Negroes out of France is able to get that done. But then the Napoleonic Wars happened. Well, they have their own revolution, but the fear of the planters in Martinique and in Guadeloupe is that this revolution will spread to their places, and they clamp down and reinstate slavery. Napoleon actually reinstates slavery in those areas. So it takes until 1848 until the rest of the French places. The Dominican Republic, which is right next door to Saint-Domingue or Haiti, abolishes in 1801. What's important about that 1801 date? Does anybody? So Haiti,
yeah.
the final abolition is 1793. The Dominican Republic, which is right next door, I mean, like across the mountains and over a river, it has an abolition in 1801. It doesn't stick. Why not?
No, because they
I don't know if it's-
they weren't controlled by the same one.
There is a French period, but that's beside the point. So.
That's what's wrong anyway.
Because of the because of their independence 3 years later, because of Haiti's independence 3 years later.
Yes. The Dominican Republic is connected to the Haitian Revolution. They're on the same island, right? So Toussaint Louverture goes to the Spanish side and works with the Spanish government, and for a while the Spanish side with the rebels, right? And while they're siding with the rebels, they free all the slaves and in solidarity. And then they decide that they're not going to side with the rebels. They're going to side with the other Europeans, and so they reinstate slavery.
So they reinstated it after 1804?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And then what happened? Does anybody know what happens in 1822? A rebellion by whom?
Was that the one in Haiti? No. I remember that.
Don't look it up.
Yeah.
Is it the one on the river?
Oh, you're talking on the Massacre River? That's in 1944.
Like, no, I don't think I was
1934.
Wait, what was the one we had a video, the 3-part video on?
Oh, in this?
Yeah.
That wasn't.
I couldn't remember where that was. Where was that?
There's one. There were a bunch of them.
There was the
No,
Red
it's
Vice
a
one.
3-part one where like
Oh,
he like does it.
it's,
Oh, the Dutch. It was
the
the Dutch.
Yeah.
That was good.
Okay. Haiti and the Dominican Republic are on the same island. They are it's the same island with two different names. So, Saint-Domingue and Santo Domingo. Same island, two different sides, two different peoples, colonizers. This becomes Haiti in 1804. Okay? So this is where our Haitian Revolution is. This becomes the DR. Oops. So, right. DR. It actually, the name comes about around 1804, 1805, but it's still kind of, some things say Santo Domingo and some things say Dominican Republic. It becomes the Dominican Republic in 1844. But something happens in 1822 to bring about the abolishment of slavery in Santo Domingo on the Spanish side.
Trade?
It becomes a republic, the Dominican Republic. Dominican is Domingo, right? It's all kind of the same word, same root word. 1822. I'll just tell you. 1822. We've got in Haiti. It's an independent black republic that everybody is freaked out about, and they fighting against. So they need to spread out. They need to make money. They need all these things to become a proper nation. They've got fertile land across the mountains. So the president of the island in 1822, his name is Boyer, B-O-Y-E-R, invades Santo Domingo.
Oh, I remember reading about this
right.
actually.
So Haiti, the island is Haiti. The whole thing from 1822 to 44. This is why the Dominican Republic and Haiti to this day have major animosity. The Dominican Republic is salty that they are the only country in the Western Hemisphere to receive their independence from a former slave colony, not from a European country. Salty.
Salty queen.
And they still have beef.
They
I mean-
still have major beef.
Imagine if we got our independence from Canada and not from Britain.
Wouldn't be a problem.
Historically, it would be a problem.
I think it would be a
Major problem. Major problem. Yes. But add to that if Canada had been a slave colony that freed itself. So yes, this is the root of all problems on the island of Hispaniola. Is this 20-year period here, 1822 to 1844. So 1822, because Boyer comes in to Haiti, into the Dominican Republic. Haiti, of course, there's no slavery in Haiti, so now it's all Haiti. So there's no slavery. The Trinitario, the Magnificent Three, who saved the Dominican Republic from itself in 1844. You can see I have two sides of this. I lived in the Dominican. I did study abroad there, so I learned all of this firsthand. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So 1844 is its year of independence from Haiti.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you confused?
How come they don't teach that in school? Like that's pretty.
President
Yeah, no,
Boyer.
that
What
would
are
have
you
been
gonna
cool.
say?
It's like a
No.
Yeah.
pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never
know.
You never hear about it. No, that's something they like to not.
Is it for a reason like they don't want that?
I mean, it's just
Save it
not
for
European.
What is the reason? Why?
Well, obviously it's like, I mean, how can you be embarrassed by that still? Like,
Why can you be embarrassed by it?
Maybe they wanted
it's
to.
a good question.
Because Haiti to be less powerful than the European nations.
It's not that it's less
Just
powerful.
Because it was like slaves, right?
Yes. It's slaves and it's black
Yeah,
people.
yeah well, that I don't
Yeah.
understand.
It's they're African and they
freed themselves.
They
That's
freed
impossible.
them. Yeah, that's just the Dominican Republic has an identity crisis, right? It's one of the most Spanish, non-Spanish places I've ever been. Everybody has Spanish connections, and you're like,
Oh, of course.
Yes.
yeah, maybe way back in like 1520, you got a Spanish tie, but you know, one of the phrases is a little black behind the ear. You know, you could be, you know, say it's something you don't really talk about, but you know, every family has a little secret black behind the ear. Because it becomes a stigma instead of something to celebrate, right? Their Hispanidad, their Spanishness, they really go for that. That's what they're trying to hide with this, you know, 1844 became independent, right? You know, and so they don't want that to be known.
I work with El Salvadorians and Dominicans, and they like don't like working together at all. Like they hate each other.
Yeah.
Dominicans have an identity problem.
Yeah.
I mean, I love my Dominican friends dearly, but there's definitely an identity problem.
I really noticed it just because I work with strictly.
Yeah, you work with.
Okay. So you guys have this now. I have on Canvas a thing where we were going to do. Today is Wednesday. We were going to do a slavery timeline thing, but I think we're going to wait until Monday to do it. Just because I wanted to do the whole day. So Monday, let's actually meet in the library. Okay.
Right.
Are we gonna be
Going right
finished
there.
on it on Monday? Because you give 2 days for it on campus.
Yeah. No, we're not going to be finished on Monday. We're going to take until the following Monday. So
Is
we're
that that
gonna-
presentation on the 10-minute, or the rights at 10-minute presentation? Okay.
Yeah.
And then
And you're doing. I'm going to pass this out because this is what we're. No, actually, I don't have to pass out.
and there's also an assignment on Canvas. I think it was.
It's on
bullying
Canvas.
Volleyball.
Historians.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not doing that. We were gonna do that, yes, on Monday, but last Monday, but we were gonna do.
Are we still doing discussion posts on the break?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So what is that, week 14 now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The discussion is 1 week ahead. of
Week
everything
13
else.
was the one where you want us to like make up our own discussion questions, right, based off the videos that
Yeah,
we watched?
you're gonna be
Okay.
doing that for the rest of it.
Okay.
You're gonna make up your own discussion questions.
Okay.
Okay, so for our remaining time, I want you to break into groups of two.
Two?
Go.
Wait, so these are answered in the 13. Like we
I'm
read
gonna
about these.
answer
in
them
the 13.
either
Alright.
this week or next week.
Okay.
I'm never mad at anything.
I think I've been writing about the previous weeks.
Yeah, you
It's
can.
okay.
Readings.
Yeah.
It's okay. Just,
Which is fun.
yeah, whatever's open, just write them.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, right.
You can't be wrong. And all the discussions kind of flow into each other. So.
Yeah.
This is no. This is the
just
timeline
right now.
on Monday.
Huh?
Are the groups for the timeline on Monday or?
Yes.
Oh,
You can use the same group.
Oh,
It doesn't.
okay.
We're doing a different thing right now, but you
Okay.
can use the same group if you want. So just two people. Do you have enough kids for two? Right?
Do you-
For three?
Do we want one each? We each get a copy?
Yeah, you can each take a copy. Okay. So do we have groups of two? Could you guys just turn to your neighbor and do that? Okay. All right. So where is Ian?
He is.
He can't
there's
do
some
cold.
financial. He's like meeting with financial aid or something.
I just was really worried that he like froze into his room or something.
Right.
Yeah.
You get some papers?
You didn't get any? Okay. Is there enough? You got one, Kevin? You need one?
Yeah, no, I need one.
Okay. All right. Now does everybody have one? Okay.
I do want to.
It should be on. Oh. I have plenty. Okay. And then somebody's gonna have to let Ian into their group. So today, what we're gonna do with our remaining time is we're gonna do a speed round of this. time capsule charades. So, what I want you guys to do is to think of a name or a thing, and we're not going to do this in-depth kind of thing right now. We're just going to do a speed round where you guys in your group think of a name or a date or an activity, and everybody will get 2 minutes to guess. So it's almost like a 20 questions kind of thing.
Okay, so we've come up with the topic and then like start describing it in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Alright.
So we're not asking how we
You're gonna say things. So we'll play it again next week or the week after.
I don't know.
next
It
week.
comes to mind. I think place would be difficult.
So does that can it be on anything?
Anything you've done this semester.
This is good.
The one that came to my mind.
in this class.
In this class, yes. Not in your physics class. In this class.
It's for other groups.
Other groups, you're gonna do a slight, a quick introduction, and then they'll play 20 questions to figure it out.
Okay.
Brazil that are kind of
No, this class.
Yeah, I know.
This guy, I think.
Cuba, you can, yes. If you've read about it, yeah, already.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going off whatever.
What's BW?
Like I have a bunch of notes from the video.
Spain?
Wait,
So you guys come up with some ways to describe it. You get like 30 seconds to describe it, and then a minute for 20 questions.
Okay. How specific?
Wait, were we?
Get
Oh,
now? Like
we're doing
dates?
between us.
You can do it however specific you want. It's up to you guys.
Right? We're doing it between us.
Or are we a team?
Does it have to be a history thing, or can it be something that we
From this class.
something that we do in class? Can you
No.
like a
Anything
thing we do?
I'm ready that one.
It's always like this. No, it's yes.
Just look at the random stuff.
It's not.
I never agree with you.
I know. But he's not really lazy.
I'm not doing that.
Okay, I'm going to use this as a worksheet. You guys, each group, you guys can have a worksheet.
I'll use it for.
Right up here, little cute clues up in there.
I don't like that, Josh. I don't like these books.
I know that they shouldn't bring that much anxiety for you.
It's the last one.
Oh, these blue books. Wait, are we ready?
You put your clues and stuff in
I had
there.
to fill
Why?
We just
So now, do you want just the clues and not the name, right?
Oh, you can write your name in your own blue book.
Yeah, but not the name of the person.
No, what to, I mean, it's for you, so
Oh,
it's your
okay.
group.
I thought we were past.
No, that's just for you. Okay, does everybody have something?
No, a minute.
Okay, 1 minute.
2 minutes.
No, are we writing clues in this? Or are we writing?
You can write your own clues in that. It's just for your group, so you guys can keep track of what you're.
Or can we just make up clues? Or we write down clues beside, or do we just make them up?
I never saw that
Well,
for sure.
you should know, because you only have 30 seconds to give your clues. So
Oh, we give all the clues?
you give some clues, and then the other group is gonna, then the rest of the class is gonna do a 20 question thing.
Oh.
Yeah,
So just a couple.
I don't understand.
That's other one.
Yeah, we want a broad description.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty hard. Yeah, I don't know anything. I still learn.
Yeah.
We have like
That's all we get.
like 5 good descriptions.
If they don't get it there.
I don't want it to be good. I don't want to answer.
They don't get it there.
It's like, if I was actually applying for something,
Everything would be too easy.
That's
First
really
it
broad.
was
Yeah,
too
and then
hard.
like the fact that we like try and can't get one.
choose one.
That's exactly right.
Or
I already they
They have to be
emailed
paired as
Popovsky, Popovich, and Tom all on the same thing.
So you-
I was like, you guys are all done.
No, that's too easy.
Like, I was like, from my advisor, I was told not to worry about spot no class.
Yeah, choose.
From the teacher, I was just told that'd be put on
Can you
the
describe
list.
it?
From 7:30 up for a day evaluation.
Exactly.
And I think I was a month from the head.
It's too easy, you can't do it.
I'm public.
Yeah. And then they all responded.
Yeah, they have like that thing.
They like all immediately were like so helpful.
That's
They're
what I said.
You can describe it, yeah.
Yeah, and they did like the picture they gave you the card there.
No worries.
If you don't mind, you have to go to the
What's going on is that it's centuries.
Oh, really? I think they said you could pick it up there.
You can pick it up.
but doesn't matter.
Probably was special ed.
Yeah.
Are you bringing up your
Just kidding, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I know. Today and
I don't know. I'm about to buy mine. I just don't know which one I should get.
Because I have a
He shows
snowboard,
up like
so like
15 minutes.
Don't go to Bush then. Go to Bush.
As soon as he
He's like wearing this
What?
I'm wearing this.
okay. Bush, it'll go. You don't want to ski on MRG because they don't grow.
And Bush is also like good at smokers.
Okay, we guys, we only have like 5 minutes left, so do you want to,
Yeah, let's do it.
you want to squeeze one in and then do a bunch of them on Monday?
Yeah,
Yeah,
watch,
sure.
we got it.
Can we keep these, right?
Yeah, you keep them. All right. All right, so who wants to,
You guys wanna go?
Brady? Yes. Hey, raise your hand first. All right, so.
Seniors.
So we just read them off?
Yeah, so read off your clues, and then the rest of the groups get to throw out 20 questions.
Okay.
Count questions.
We loved gold. We killed many people. We worked for Spain, and he was Italian. And he worked for Spain, and he was seeking resources.
Okay. 20 questions. All right. All right, so seniors, you want to go? You guys
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's see if we can get to these questions.
All right.
Here we go.
17, 18. 133 days. 53%. No water. Fraud. Grandpa shark. Yeah.
You guys gotta make these like.
Oh, I thought we were supposed to make them like.
I know. I thought we were supposed to make this
Well, you don't
specific.
want.
so we-
Well, you don't want
round.
people that know.
You
It's
said
it's
speed
definitely
round.
speedy here. Okay, so when we come back on Monday, you guys think with your.
Alright, but what is it though?
results-
No one answered
It's
the
on.
question.
He
Alright,
did.
there you go.
He did.
He said
Wait,
someone
wait,
could
wait.
see.
Look at the clues that I give you, and think about how you might make it a little bit more difficult. Not like impossible, but a little more.
I think ours is very different.
Same.
I mean, not very. I was thinking Kevin in there.
I might have to go try
Ours is like
John, were you? Oh, dude. John, you weren't there last year during the Alio Thanksgiving dinner. I got odds.
I mean, if you guys
And I
ask
had
the right
to
kind of questions,
take
it'll be really.
Oh yeah,
It's a good one.
Is that today?
People have.
Every single dude, every single seat in that place is filled.
I was there for Christmas dinner.
You ate it
on that? We were sitting in the
Okay,
far
guys.
back right corner. with
I will
the-
see you on Monday, and we'll meet in the library.
Yeah, that's what it was. Because I didn't do it twice. I have to get Margaret from Logan on to do this.
God bless you.
Huh?
God bless you.
We don't have a strategy. Do we have strategy tomorrow? We do. I think it's later, right? Strategy? I think it's later. I'm not positive.
What do you mean? What, a video conference?
Yeah, 'cause remember when last time I had class, the kids were like,
Oh, she said we don't have to show up till like 10:30.
Okay. Yeah, just send me an email, and then.
Those kids haven't said us that
I'm
right.
gonna finish off the thing on what
my goal is to make it class. I just don't know if I find
Yeah.
really early.
If you don't make it, then make sure you get with your
Yeah,
group.
well,
What day is that? The presentation?
Tuesday.
Oh, the presentation's
Tuesday. No,
That's what Margaret just said.
No, we're talking about Thursday.
We're
talking about tomorrow.
On that Tuesday for the presentations, we're gonna make a video because my girlfriend is abroad and I have to pick her up in Boston.